So in the last video, we talked about how to work around this situation in terms of mainly dieting. Another concern that has come up is that you maybe do not have access to large enough weights or a selection and variety of different things like dumbbells, kettlebells. Maybe you only have access to bands and body weight, and you're worried that you're going to lose your strength, possibly lose some muscle mass, but also lose your fitness. So again, we're going to look at a few different ways and the options and opportunities that you still have in order to keep your fitness and keep your gains. So we touched on this a little bit in the last video. So lean body mass is muscle mass plus carbohydrates and water. Now, if you're feeling like you're losing muscle, it's probably more likely that we're seeing changes in carbohydrates and water stored, not necessarily decrease in muscle mass. Decrease in muscle mass happen over time. So if you're feeling it in like 2 or 3 weeks and you haven't really been working out, then it's likely that maybe you lost some gains. But if you're still doing something, it's more likely going to be this than this, because again, this takes time. Now, we know that you can still build muscle and strength with loads as low as 30% to your 1 rep max. But in order to do that, you would have to take that movement, that muscle group to complete failure. Now, this is hard AF, and you would be sore AF for multiple days. So it's probably not something that I would recommend. But the takeaway from this is that you can still do a lot with relatively light loads. So we can get close to failure. And this is where you're gonna have to probably perform 20 or more reps, maybe up to 50 reps of certain movements. Now, not all movements are equal. For example, most of us can probably do 50 air squats and be pretty okay. Most of us can probably not do 50 push-ups in one go. So different movements require different strategies. If you're looking to work and gain or maintain strength and muscle mass, we want to make sure that we have adequate rest. So although we might be working with lower loads, we're going to talk about a few different strategies that we can implement to help make those exercises and those movements feel harder and place more tension on the muscle. But again, if your goal is strength or maintain or building muscle, you want to make sure you have enough rest that you can go back into that set and do the same amount of work with just as much quality. So the first thing we think of is increasing frequency that you're training that muscle. So let's say, for example, you trained, so you're going to do maybe full body workouts instead of lower, upper, lower, upper. So now instead of hitting your lower body only twice a week, you're going to hit your lower body 4 times a week. So now with lower loads, it's easier to get closer to failure more often during the week, which is going to help us to maintain more muscle mass. We can look at things like tempo. That's the speed or the cadence at which you perform the repetition. So you could do 3 seconds down for a squat, so it'd be 3, 2, 1, and then up for 1001. So now your muscles are working for 4 seconds continuously. 10 reps, that's 40 seconds of work. 12 reps, that is 48 seconds of work. So changing the tempo can change how the movement feels and the amount of tension and time that the muscle is working. We can have isometric holds, either in the shortened position when the muscle is contracted, or in the lengthened position when the muscle is stretched and loaded. That can also increase the amount of tension that's placed underneath the muscle. And then also, if you weren't really doing any of this, but you still had adequate calories and adequate protein, for a period of maybe 3 to 6 weeks, depending on the individual, okay, probably wouldn't lose that much muscle mass, even if you didn't do anything. So we have so many things here, so many options and opportunities that you can do, that as long as you do something and you do it frequently and you do it well, then you're going to maintain a decent amount of muscle mass. And worst case, if you do lose some muscle mass, you're probably not going to notice that much visibly in terms of a change in your physical appearance. But when you go back to regular training, okay, you're going to be able to progress a lot faster after taking time off, working with lower loads, and now going back to working with higher loads and lower rep ranges. Now, if your goal is not to maintain muscle mass, and or maybe now you're looking to use some strength training movements to maintain or increase your fitness. You don't have access to a row machine, a assault bike, skier, the treadmill, etc. So you want to start to do bodyweight movements that are going to get your heart rate up. So when we look at strength training for fitness or fat loss, body composition change, I like to break it down into 3 C's. So we have circuits, combinations, and complexes. So circuits are where we perform a sequence of exercises back to back with little or no rest. So this can be for time or repetition focus. So you can say, okay, I'm going to do squats for 45 seconds with 15 seconds rest, then I'm going to go to push-ups for 45 seconds, 15 seconds rest, and then another movement, another movement. You can make the circuit as long or as short as possible, as many different movements as you see fit, depending on the time that you have available. You could also do a certain amount of reps, so 15 squats, 15 push-ups, 15 lunges, etc. So it can be time or rep focused. The rest wants to be minimal. And you want to just try to keep moving as quickly as possible. So the movements probably have to be low skill because you're going to get a high volume of them. So you want to be able to maintain good form and probably going to be low skill and low weight. But the objective is to move more quickly through those movements and accumulate a lot of work over time. Now if you look at combinations where you put one or more movements together to make a bigger movement. So the most obvious, or I guess the easiest example of this is a thruster. It's a squat to an overhead press. Okay, two movements put together to make one bigger movement, which is more metabolically demanding, more challenging on the body, and works lots of different muscle groups all in one motion. So this can be probably more focused on reps than time, because you want to focus on being able to maintain the quality of the movement, because we're now putting two movements together and we want to make sure that we can do both movements perfectly every single time. So I would probably have this as more rep focused than time focused, but you can do this time focused, again, as long as you understand we want to focus more on quality over quantity. Now your rest period should not be low like in a circuit. It should probably be moderate. So let's say for example I was going to do 10 thrusters. I'd probably give myself 30 to 45 seconds work, and then I would nail 10 thrusters again. If I'm only giving myself 15 seconds, the first two sets might be okay, set 3, but then set 4 and 5. I'm just moving for the sake of moving, so I might as well lower the skill level, lower the weight, and just move continuously and just make it into a circuit. So again, here we're focusing on quality over quantity, and you're going to be doing a moderate amount of volume. And this can kind of be somewhere in between doing some fitness work and doing some strength work, because again, we can be more rep focused, we can focus on more frequency, and we're having more adequate rest so that we can probably get closer to failure more consistently. And a good example of this might be like an every minute on the minute. Then we look at complexes. So complexes are always rep focused, and this is where you might say, okay, I'm going to do 5 squats, 5 presses, 5 thrusters. That's a 15 rep complex. Okay? You put it down, you maybe rest for 30 seconds, and then you go again. Obviously with lower rep ranges, you can obviously have more weight, it can be higher skill, but you could also do this for longer, more continuous. But again, it's always focusing on the rep focus rather than for a specific amount of time. So in the past, I've done complexes where we've had like 10 different movements, just using an empty barbell, 10 different movements, okay, for 10 reps. And you move through at a pace that you feel comfortable. It's not a race, it's just about accumulating 100, so 10 times 10, really good reps of 10 different movements. When you're done, you put it down. You have an adequate amount of rest, and then you go again. But this is going to be lower volume than the combinations and lower volume than the circuit. So I think an easy way to work out, like, this would be the most fitness, this would be strength/fitness, and this would be more high intensity work and strength and form focused. So here are a few examples of stuff that you can do, and I'm going to break down in a separate video how to do some sort of strength training, how to do some circuits, how to do some combinations, how to do some complexes, and also how to properly implement all of these different things like frequency, tempo, isometric holds, and a few other intensity techniques. Just because otherwise, if I talk about them now, this video is just going to go on forever. So again, please don't panic. You have loads of options and opportunities. It's not perfect, it's not ideal, but you have a lot of stuff to work with, and I want you to think like 1 is better than 0. A lot of people have been asking me, what's the best home workout? What's my go-to bodyweight routine? What is this? And I guess the answer is like, there isn't one. Like, I don't have one. I never expected to be working out from home for a significant amount of time. Like, I have a lot of equipment, which you'll see, but this was mainly for me to film exercise demonstrations for my online clients, not necessarily for me to work out with myself. So we're all in a similar situation, but again, we have lots of options, lots of opportunities. Just do something, but make sure when you do it, that you do it really, really well. Okay, so if you guys, again, have any other questions, then please pop them below. I hope this has been helpful. And if you have any concerns about anything else during this period of time, again, please reach out.